60 years ago, 1957, the world was building atomic bombs as fast as they could. It was the height of nuclear proliferation. Albert Einstein and Bertrand Russell came out with a 2-page manifesto, went out around the world, said we've got to do something, we're threatening the future of mankind. That led to the original Pugwash Conference. They pulled together 24 nuclear physicists from around the world. It was at great risk to their careers that they came, they sat down for a week, and coming out of it now is still today the annual Pugwash Conference that takes place somewhere in the world and has been attributed to a lot of the arms reduction and treaties and so on around nuclear arms. So a very significant event happened at the Thinkers Lodge. So we were looking at doing something similar. Second biggest threat to mankind is climate change. I think most of you probably don't realize how fast the effects are going to be coming on, even in the province here. Somebody just pointed out to me 2 days ago, Lyme disease is a climate change disease. Only because of climate change are we going to be seeing the full effect. That's just one small part of it. But it's going to be knocking rural communities over sideways if they don't really understand what's going to be happening. It's going to be affecting lobster fisheries, crab stocks, all kinds of things. So we really wanted to pull an event together, same type of a format, which is what we did last fall. We had 24 thinkers from all aspects of community. So we had some of the scientists in the room, the academics, we had community leaders, even representing the nonprofit volunteer sector. We had municipal officials in the room. We had artists, because we're also realizing that climate change, you have to bring together both the right brain and the left brain. Can't just be an intellectual exercise. Just hitting people with numbers doesn't really work. It's got to get you right here. And that's what we found out. So we brought some artists into the room as well. And then importantly, we had the scientific director from Project Drawdown attend from Berkeley, California. This is a large international event or project that was launched about a year ago, where they have identified 100 solutions, which most of which, 90% of which, are pre-existing, that if they're scaled properly, can sequester enough carbon that we actually reach the point of drawdown where we're pulling more carbon out of the air than we're putting back into it. So they were in the room as well. So we did convene for 2.5 days, very intensive think tank process, looking at what kind of adaptive solutions can happen for our region specifically as a model really for the world. So a number of things came out of that event. The first thing, there's a piece on the table on an outcomes document that's available on our website as well, can be downloaded. We just last week in Pugwash screened the first premiere screening of a 40-minute documentary film that came out of that retreat. We're just updating it and doing some final tweaks, and that'll be, I'll let rural communities know about that. That'll be made available to the public. So we interview probably 18 different people, again, across all segments of society. There's some beautiful pieces in there about how we presented it to the entire student body at the Pugwash High School. Fantastic questions came out of that. So that's a documentary film. We've since signed a memorandum of understanding with Project Drawdown, and we're in the process now of pulling a core team together to look at how do we launch a Nova Scotia Drawdown hub, and what would that look like. So we want to keep building on the momentum, just as the original Pugwash Conference led into these annual conferences that continue today. We want to build on that momentum. We're creating a drawdown hub, and we're going to be looking at how can Nova Scotia become a leader and an example for Atlantic Canada, for all of Canada, and even for the world on how can you begin to benchmark and move across all segments of society towards carbon sequestration.